Does it match yours? Does my clap match yours? What's up, everybody? Welcome to On the Deck. I'm here. I am mikO Tolliver. I'm your host. I'm here with our interim general manager, Antonio Ortiz. We are not at the station today. Where are we, Antonio? Where are you?
We are off-site today.
We are off-site.
Off the deck. On the deck is off the deck. And that's where we're at. And I'm at home. And if you are wondering why my camera has this thing, it's because I'm on my phone. I am suffering from a blackout, which is exciting in this torrential downpour.
Yes, that's why we're off deck today, because there's a big old storm here. We're in California. We're in Northern California. There is an atmospheric river, which is great because we need the rain. We, are a state that lives in a drought, I guess. I feel like we live in droughts for like 3 or 4 years, and then we just get heck of rain, and we're supposed to just like save it up.
Well, hopefully we can get the way we want, which is rain a little bit here and there with some bouts of sunshine and throughout the year. Right. But
I mean, it's one thing after another. We're either on fire or we're covered in rain. So
we're on fire and we're flooded.
Okay.
Yeah.
but yes, we are here on the deck, here giving you announcements and all that jazz. What's up, Antonio? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I actually went to Tucson for a bit of time, and It was sunny down there, and there was a lot of wildflowers. So I think for anyone who loves to go to the desert, in the next month, it's going to be a great time to see the super bloom if there is one. So that's one of the benefits. And outside of that, now I'm back.
All right, sweet. All right. I think I just want to remind everybody who is listening, tuning in, watching, whether you're watching it live as we are shooting it, or if you're watching after the fact, maybe you're watching it on social media, you're watching it through public access television because we broadcast there. If there's anything that we talk about here that you want to find out, you can always tune in to KPFA 94.1 FM, or you can go to www.kpfa.org and find out all the good information there, because that is our home source there. That is our radio station. We are representing KPFA radio, not at the station because it's raining hecka super, but still always repping KPFA in our hearts. Wait, Antonio, where's your shirt? Where's your shirt? My shirt is here.
My shirt is over at the station because I was supposed to be there for this on the deck. So
yes, I think in our pre-meeting, I was telling you, I was like, oh, do you want to do it? I was looking at the weather and I was like, do you want to do it? He's going to go get it. But in our pre-meeting, I was telling Antonio, do you want to do it off-site today? Because there's going to be this super big rain. He's like, no, I'm going to go in. And then Antonio, remember you sent me a last minute text like, actually, I just looked out the window. I think I am going to work from home today.
It looks horrible. Well, here's some merch that I got, but we're no longer offering it, unfortunately. But we have a KPFA hat. So there you go.
All right. Let's start with some programming updates that we have for the station happening this week. What's going on?
Well, this week, are we going to do the thing about what happened on March 11th that leads up to this week?
No, we're going to start with our programming updates for Wednesday and Thursday. Let's start with that.
We're talking about the music programming, right?
Yes, there's a change in music programming, right?
Yes. So for all of you who listened to The Here and Now with Dettmer Richardson, his last show was last Thursday for The Here and Now. So thank you, Dirk, for all of the time and volunteer time that you've given to the station. Also, just having a big presence on the radio and keeping The Here and Now on the radio for I don't know how many years he's been doing it. But he's been letting people know that he was transitioning out of it, retiring from it, and moving on to other exciting endeavors in his own personal life. So I'm happy for him on that front. But that left an opening for Thursday nights. So for all of you listening, what will be happening is our Betty Beasly, who does the Wednesday night music mix, is actually going to be moving over to Thursday nights from 10 to midnight, and rebranding it, calling Betty's Night In. And so you will be catching Betty Beasly on Thursdays after the Bonnie Simmons show.
We've got a graphic for that. We got a logo. We got it. She sent us in the. Can we pull up our picture for Betty's Night In? There it is. Ooh.
There we go.
You got the nice little light. You got the little lamp there. Oh yeah, it's gonna be romantic, huh?
Okay. Romantic, yeah. And then I don't know if this is romantic too, but on Wednesday nights at 10 to midnight, we'll have a new music programmer to KPFA. They've actually been in the Bay Area for a long time, and they were doing a lot of content at CalX for many years. Their name is Mo Herms, and it's going to be the Nightcap with Mo Herms on Wednesdays from 10 to 12. And I'm really excited about Mo Herms joining us because it's a new person to KPFA. And also, my conversations with Mo, we are looking forward to how we are going to build content on social media as well as on the radio.
Oh, so Mo Herms is going to be participating with us for doing stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to that and seeing what we can create.
All right. I'm super excited about that. So that's great. So that's update. So we had Mo Herms, Nightcap with Mo Herms. That's going to be Thursdays? Wednesdays, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Betty's Night In is going to be on Thursdays. Right? Okay, good. Now, before we go on, I want to point out we actually had a comment in the chat. We want to make sure we respond. Interim general manager, let's talk to our people live and people out there. If you are ever watching us live and you send us a comment in the chat, we will respond to it as long as it's appropriate, right? It's got to be appropriate. Right?
Many times we're like, wait a minute, don't do that one.
Right. But here we got Olga Martinez, who says, rather windy here. Olga, where are you at? We want to hear where here is at, because she's saying it's rather windy. I know it's windy. It's windy out here. We were having our meeting earlier, Antonio, and it was like, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, very windy. And then that's when I had the blackout during our meeting. So, our person that's been, you haven't been here with us in a while, Wireframe Wife, but Wireframe Wife is also on saying it's windy where they are at too.
Oh yeah, let's put a Wireframe's wife message too. So hello, hi Olga, it's windy here too. And Olga actually said that she is in Concord. So Wireframe Wife's, the reason why they haven't been able to make it is because, here, let's get up Wireframe's wife. They keep putting me in meetings at 2 p.m. But I just want to point out, we got fans, baby.
We got people watching.
Yeah, right. We got people watching. I know. I think Olga and Wireframe Wife have tuned into us several times and made comments. So always participating, always supporting. Thank you always to KPFA listeners, supporters, audience, donors, everybody who always tune in and make us feel loved and appreciated. And so we like that. And so now we're talking about program updates, but we did have something special happen this weekend, right, Antonio?
Yep. On March 11th, we did International Women's Day special. We had an International Women's Day special broadcast. It was from midnight to midnight, and that happened this past Saturday. And for any of you who missed it, you can go to KPFA's website, kpfa.org, in the program section under International Women's Day, in the archives.
Good. And I think we do have our old flyer from that too. So just in case people want to see the graphic to be like, how do we know that this is the right? How do we know that this is the right one? We have a little graphic for it. Can we get that? Can we get our little International Women's Day flyer up there so people can see? Oh, look at that. It's got all the information, right? 24 hours of women's experience.
So it's on the website. And then also what we're doing for the month of March is that there's a lot of people who listen to KPFA just solely on the radio. And so in order to reach them as well, we will be playing 12 hours of that content. It started yesterday on Monday, but Monday through Thursday this week, and the next 2 weeks at 3 o'clock, we'll be playing content from the International Women's Day special broadcast, but it'll happen during the week.
Nice. So we can keep it going. So now here's really how we're going to keep International Women's Day going. You ready? I got something for you, Antonio. You ready? I'm
ready for it.
All right. We got guests. We got friends who came to visit us today.
Let's see them.
Introducing Lisa Dettmer and Jovelyn Richards, who are hosts of Women's Magazine, right? Did I saying there? Women's Magazine, which is Mondays at 1 p.m., right? We got Lisa Dettmer and Jovelyn Richards. Thank you, women, spelled with a Y, for coming to participate and support us and join us here on the deck. We want to hear about your experiences putting together International Women's Day. Will you tell us, please?
Well, International Women's Day has been organized by the women of KPFA for about 10, 15 years. So, yeah, it was 24 hours of programming, and we got a lot of content from other places. And that was really cool to see that there's a lot of feminist programming. It's not just women's programming, it's feminist programming from other places and covering a lot of subjects. I think we had one from Wings, which was called Butch is Not a Dirty Word. We had one about women in the trades, and they unfortunately were swearing like sailors, but other than that, it was really good. And we had, one on Middle Eastern transnational feminism, just a ton of stuff. And music, we had really good music. Margot Okazare, who also was a co-host on Women's Magazine, did an hour of really great protest women's music. It was really beautiful from around the world. So, it was great to hear. It was just felt very empowering for me to hear all that concentration on women and women around the world and feminist stories. So, yeah.
Good. And I know that there are some issues sometimes where people feel like, oh, feminism is just something for white women. But I know that this event also had something for women of color, right? And I remember you telling me about that, and you were like, you should make sure that check it out. We want to give a stage to all types of women. And so I want to hear more
Well,
about
Jovelyn
just
should speak to that because
I-
she's newly adopted the term feminist. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Well, first of all, I want to say, in terms of over the years, as we've approached International Women's Day, one of the things that Lisa touched on is it's a wraparound. So anyone who is interested or disinterested in a particular thing that's connected to feminism, etc., we bring the music, we bring a variety of ways in which women express themselves in the world, past, present, and future thinkers, right? So that when you tune in, we want for 24 hours that anyone can be able to tune in and be able to see something that may touch them, that engages them, that represents them. And so, like Lisa said, I'm new to the game of calling myself a feminist. And that for years, I was thinking that, feeling like, and not wrongfully so, that particularly in America, this was a white women's movement. And years ago, when I heard Alice Walker say that she didn't call herself a feminist, and I was in that same space and I was looking for a word, and she said she calls herself a womanist. Now, I don't know if that's changed for her present time, but I appreciated that word also because the definition that she was speaking it then was it encompassed all people within the circle, right? And again, I think she also was struggling with the us being known in the United States being led by white women feminists. So that was where I was at. And then also in reading this Bridge Called Our Back, which was a collection of writings by women of color that talk about feeling as if the feminist movement have used the labor, the political, physical, emotional, spiritual labor of women of color. And yet our voices wasn't centered in where it was really counting to do the work. So I totally was not claiming that. But Margot, who, as Lisa referenced, is a part of our story on Women's Magazine. And Margot travels all over the world, embracing not just the politics, but the folks who live in the regions of women as feminists. And her specialty is really around militarism. And when she began to tell me stories of women globally from all over the world with the risk factors of being vocal, cost their very life, could cost their very life, that was what they came up again and was willing to risk for the voices of women. And when she took me through conversation throughout the world, clear examples of that, where women who didn't have the resources or had whatever shape of democracy we try to speak of, that they didn't have that support or the overall collective of other women. Sometimes they stood up alone, sometimes in small groups, and they often looked for America's voices of women to help guide them. And then we would look towards them, the resilience they show. And when she told me those stories, I could not help but to say that I am a feminist. If even I still struggle with feminism in the America, I think we have a lot to do and to learn from other places. But I came late to the game. But you're absolutely right in some level that it was known as a white woman's movement, and it did not serve us all collectively in a way that it could have served us or can serve us.
Wow, that's amazing. I really appreciate that. It sounds like International Women's Day was really about making it inclusive for everyone. And even as I looked at some of the like different things that you guys had playing that day, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, based on what you just said, Jovelyn, Lisa, thank you so much for telling us so much about that and just like being a part of that and keeping International Women's Day here alive at
Yeah.
KPFA, right? I know it's going to be even better next year. But so now here's my next question. We just had International Women's Day, right? Today is actually Pay Gap Day, right? To bring attention to the pay gap that exists for women and men here in this country. And so if I am a radical woman, if I identify myself in that way and I go, I want to find out some more information, what show could I tune into on KPFA and when could I listen to that show so I could start to get indoctrinated into being more radical in my womanness?
Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or what is it? I'm in Hawaii, so we don't change our time, but 1 p.m. Pacific Time. And so at 1 o'clock every Monday. But here's what's gonna really be appreciated, I think, by our listeners and those who are wanting to engage more. We have 4 or 5 Mondays any given month, but definitely the four. Each woman who represents that Monday brings their perspective, their point of view for 1 hour, who they're choosing to talk to, who are choosing to do their journalism and reporting of their background around the world from their perspective. So the diversity of our team as women, as feminists, is reflected every single Monday. Like, for instance, me, I do the space between us. I started the space between us after the Million Woman March. And someone on Facebook that I know and appreciate and respect in the Bay Area, it was the Pink Pussy Million Woman March. And one of the things she said after the march on Facebook was a question I had. She said, "This was lovely, this was wonderful, this was profound." But she said, in my outside voice, I'm asking you, white women, where were you when we were marching as Black and brown women in the streets? When we were seeing our families, our children being shot in the streets, where were you when we were calling out to have unity, marching? And when that was said, I recognized that I went to my team as we were then. I went to the PD, program director, and I said, we have to have a program for me that represents what divides us and what brings us together as women. Let's look at the political, social, economical things that keep us apart, and let's look at the things that bring us together so that we can move into the future where when a woman issue is brought up and we see that it's systemic, that it is not in just that woman's life, but it is impacting her and everyone else, that we all stand up, that we all give voice, that we take that one echo and make it mean something. And so I present the space between us every third Monday at 1 p.m. And it's a live show and it's a call-in show. Because as we are community radio, I want to hear the folks who are listening call in and join whatever conversation we're having that looks at the space between what divides women and groups of women and what holds us together to be better allies.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so you're every third Monday. Lisa, when are you doing Women's Magazine?
I do every second Monday. Vilma V does every first Monday, and Margot does every fourth Monday. And it's just like Jovelyn said, we 3 women of color and me, the token white person, and I think that's what we're doing, is representing our different perspectives, but also all coming under this sort of umbrella that we are feminists and speaking the truth. Jovelyn,
Okay.
Jovelyn does some really deep conversations about what keeps women apart, what keeps women apart from themselves. Yeah, and Margot has a wealth of international expertise. She was part of the Cambay River Collective, which was one of the first Black women feminist organizations in the U.S., and she's been since the 70s a teacher, an activist, and Vilma also has her perspective and her, politics. So it's really providing a diversity of radical feminist women's voices. And
yeah, I know that Margot actually taught at Mills when I was there, when I was a student there. So when I came to KPFA and Margot was here, I was like, oh, Margot. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and Women's Magazine wouldn't have been able to happen without the apprenticeship program. Jovelyn, Vilma, and I all came out of the apprenticeship program, and which, as everybody should know, it really does provide a place for women, people of color, queers. So it wouldn't have happened without that. And yeah, so it's I feel like it's unique. We're one of the few multiracial women's shows on the air that are also not about becoming an influencer or getting a corporate sponsor. We're there to speak our truths and to speak with other women. Like I just spoke to Zahara Simmons, who was part of SNCC and Black Power movement in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, and still doing activism, and just an amazing, authentic, powerful woman. Yeah, so it's, it, like Jovelyn said, it's about community radio and getting the voices out of people who are interested in talking about how we can bring back the International Women's Day used to be very radical. It started by socialists and workers and women workers. So, we're trying to bring that back because it has been corporatized. So we're trying to show the voices that are still engaged in these very important things. And as Jovelyn said, and as Margot shows, feminism around the world is super important. There are organizations in India that had 50,000 women in them that are organizing around labor issues and workplace issues, and it's life and death for people, women around the world.
Right.
And so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for telling us about that. And I just want to remind folks that Women's Magazine is Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where you can get all the information and get indoctrinated in becoming a radical woman. That's really, really great. And I think also we want you guys to actually stay and participate in one more thing with us. Antonio, it's that special time. What time is it?
Well, before we go to the special time, I
Uh-oh.
just want to say an acknowledgement and appreciation for both Lisa and Jovelyn, who participated in this year's International Women's Day. Also to the producers, Darlene Pagano, Christina Onnested, and Paula Birch, the lead producers who helped organize the other producers for the 24 hours. All of the volunteer work they put into making this happen. I know about 3 months ago, I was having conversations with Darlene of if it was going to happen or if it was not going to happen. And there was kind of this, at one moment that there was a fear that it wouldn't happen. And so I'll just say that I'm really glad and always impressed that there is dedicated people, especially for International Women's Day and for a lot of the other special broadcasts that we have, who come out and then make it happen. Right. And I know for the station, we are a hybrid station. We have a lot of volunteer programmers. And I would just tell you that without our volunteer programmers, a lot of the content that we produce would not be produced, right? And we have so many different perspectives, so many different producers, so many points of views that get presented that you might not hear other places. And, it's due to a lot of the people that are dedicated to making sure that the public knows about the topics that are important, but also supporting this listener-sponsored radio station by providing and creating content and showcasing those topics to people. And so I just want to say thank you to the two of you, and also for continuing to do Women's Magazine. It's something that that I'm really grateful for, and I know that for us at KPFA, I cherish it because that is something that you guys are giving to the station. It's a gift to the station, and then also becomes a gift to our listeners who learn more about the topics that you cover, right?
Yeah, I just went to a UC Berkeley class to talk about KPFA. There was 210, mostly women, many women of color there, and told them that we have 200 unpaid staff, because we're unpaid staff, not volunteers. And they were shocked. They were like, wow, that's amazing that so many people would commit to a station and an idea and a mission
Mm-hmm.
because nowadays most political movements are through nonprofits where people expect to be paid, and so the fact that KPFA has been able to continue with unpaid staff, that many unpaid staff, is amazing and shows how important it is to have a commitment to something and not just be about the money, although the money is important.
Mm-hmm.
And the
All right.
commitment,
Oh,
one of the things is our commitment to from the community that for decades have showed up for the program that we have provided. One of the reasons that I am committed to Women's Magazine, to KPFA, is because I really believe the saying that was most known, that was said recently, that has always been out there, is that where for Women's Magazine, where the women goes, culture goes.
oh,
Say that
yeah.
again, Jovelyn. I missed it.
Where the women go, culture goes. And so that fundamental belief that when we have a say so that represents women's needs, families, community, culture, etc., Women's Magazine is crucial to bring the voices from all over the world. KPFA is crucial because that's where culture is going to go. And we got, at some point, even though we have these beautiful volunteers as well, we have a community of people who shows up and keeps the station on the air, doing the fund drives, listening, calling in. So this entity rare. It's a rare entity in the United States. It's a treasure, a
Mm-hmm.
historical treasure that will continue to be and has been for decades. And so the work we do collectively is really powerful. And that's a part of why I show up. I show up learning through the apprenticeship program. I've studied. Antonio has worked with me patiently, learning how to use the mechanics of it, not just to speak, but the mechanics, to have the ability to walk in a room with different buttons and machines and et cetera, not be intimidated, but be able to touch and say, I'm on the air. We're on the air.
Yeah, and without the apprenticeship program, I wouldn't have been able to come into KPFA. And they had a motto of each one teach one, which is really the core of KPFA and Pacifica, which is that we pass on the knowledge to the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm glad you interrupted. I'm sorry I didn't that I rushed that. I want to make sure you get all that information. Wow, thank you so much for telling all that. And yeah, while we're on the topic of just thanking you guys for your volunteering, your donations here, we do want to. I do have something special for you two women here, and Antonio is going to help me introduce it because it is that special time. Antonio, what time is it?
It is the time for the donor highlight.
Oh, and we have something special. Yes, we want to highlight Daniel from San Francisco, California, for donating to the station. And the reason why I want to take this time to donate, to highlight that, is because Daniel actually sent us a special message for International Women's Day. And so while I have Lisa and Jovelyn here who are repping International Women's Day and also Women's Magazine, we want you guys, or you women, to listen to the message and make sure that we send a shout out back to Daniel. All right, you ready for it? I'm going to play it for you guys. All right, here we go. We're going to take down our lower third here, and I'm going to get this video ready for you, and I'm going to play it for you guys. Ready? Here we go.
Hi, my name is Daniel, calling from San Francisco, California. I hope you're having a nice day and happy International Women's Day. I recently donated and became a monthly sustainer. What I didn't get to do, though, was give a shout out to the station and to all the service you provide, which I feel like is a master class every time I tune in. I'm like, wow, I get all this for free. I don't even have to pay the price of college tuition. I mean, really, it's amazing. Like, every time I tune into the station, I'm just blown away, like, wow. And then the next program, wow. And the next program, wow. So I just recently became a monthly sustainer. I wanted to give a shout out for everything you provided to me and the community through your entire duration. And I hope you get every little and big donation. Love y'all.
That was for you too. just for you two to respond to, but we wanted to let you know that there are people out there. And Antonia and I have been working really hard on donor highlights for the last, since I think we've been doing this since about like May or something like this. And I really try to take the time to highlight donors who give us really great comments, really great donations that were like, wow, this is a really big donation from this person. Somebody will highlight, oh, I love Jovelyn. I love Lisa. I love Mitch. I love Kat Brooks. I love Women's Magazine.
It's also interesting that people are giving money because it's a community. It's not like TikTok where people are giving money to influencers because they have, they're so funny or whatever. They're giving money to the idea of community, which is what Pacifica represents. And it's that idea that we're also bringing on Women's Magazine, an idea of a feminist community, an idea of women sharing with each other. Like Jovelyn was saying, she does something by Women by the River, sharing stories. It's an idea of sharing stories with each other and creating community, not about an individualist notion that people have in social media generally. So I just appreciated what he said about community.
Well, he gave me the word of the day. First of all, his listening to the sound, the words and the sound of his appreciation, and his word. My word of the day now, I'm gonna use it whenever I go. Is called wow. We are wow. International Women's Day was wow, which is really a wonderful thing, and I don't say that lightly. It's like it offered him something, and it would then offer the part of him that's a feminist inside, the balance that, and if the women identify in his life that will impact. So the impact goes on and on. It educates. International Women's Day educates. Women's Magazine educates. The soul, the spirit, the intellect, creative, critical thinking skills are triggered. And that's what I enjoy about it. And that people who didn't think they were like I'm not a feminist, don't even come for me with that word. And now I'm a feminist because of women all over the world throughout history that stood up and was willing to say, I will die for this. I will die for this right, for health care. I will die to have fresh water. I will die for the things that is keeping me from being alive. And the stories that I was hearing from my colleagues, the voices that listening to their programming. And when Margaret broke it down and said, whatever you feel about what we're doing here, they're not getting it right or wrong or whatever, the women all over the decades, the years, the centuries. And I was like, it's for those. And that's what feminism is about. It is not just for me. It is for those of us that don't have access to places like KPFA, like Women's Magazine.
And our ancestors, all those women ancestors who had to struggle to even be able to leave the house or be able to live in any kind of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Jovelyn, both hosts of Women's Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us here on the deck, giving us the rundown, helping to support us on the deck, because, our thing here, our goal here is to help move KPFA more forward into the future. And I know, Lisa, you said you don't like TikTok as much, but we like social media just because it's where the world is going. And so if we're trying to get women's voices out there, we want to get them on as many platforms as possible.
Well, yeah, it depends what's on TikTok, and it depends what your motivation is.
Wait, okay. Hey, say something about TikTok. Listen, I'm on TikTok, and every meeting I go to, I have a quote from TikTok. A lot of my folks be like, what? Let me tell you something. I'm learning about critical race theory. I'm hearing from the medical field of people who are on TikTok giving things that I wouldn't hear. So it does have that element, Lisa, where people up there twerking their life into it, getting their own. But there's people who, like KPFA, give voice to, that are on TikTok now talking about things that are happening in the world that we would not know. We would absolutely not know from the.
We got to take over TikTok.
Yeah, yes. Okay, Lisa. All right. Thank you, Jovelyn, for coming to help me convert Lisa. And now
I always felt we had to take
on.
over TikTok.
Lisa, I'm gonna say you one. I've had a couple of people on. I've had a Dr. Nicole on my show. She is Wizard of teaching at one of the universities, but her politics was too strong. This sister left, and now she's on TikTok, and she has people that literally take her classes that she couldn't teach in school because and around social challenges and ills, she came to TikTok because she refused to bow down to the academic system and said, you cannot teach that to these students. And she said, oh, yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will. I'm going to TikTok.
She knew where to find them too.
Well,
Yeah.
wait, so Jovelyn, you're saying you're on TikTok. Do you want to go ahead? Will you tell us where we can find you on TikTok? What's your TikTok? What's your at?
So here's my little dirty secret. See, I'm on TikTok and I have been taking a social pulse. So I don't post anything. I watch, I like, I do, because I'm taking the pulse of society. And I must tell you, I'm quite happy. I went on just as like to find out what are people thinking. So they throw you on some side of TikTok. And I am impressed with the way that people are literally pushing back against the norm. So I haven't yet got on there. I'm planning on to start posting my stuff, but I'm on some TikTok. But I'm trying to keep it a secret. I'm on the down low because I don't want nobody to know. But I find the folks that I do, and then I invite them on KPFA.
Don't worry, Jovelyn. I'm kind of like you in the same way because mikO's always asking me about where are you on social media. I'm like, I use it to connect with people that I don't see often, but also, I'm not really on it that much. But it's something that if we want to expand our audience, we have to start paying it.
Where my family at? Where my family on what y'all doing? What you talking about? And I'm liking what I'm seeing. People are rising up from the medical field. There's a Black doctor who talks specifically to the disparity in healthcare. He's on there discussing that we wouldn't know. He was invited to. The vice president brought him to the White House to talk about it. So TikTok is at least I'm going to turn you on to some stuff.
I was on TikTok. I agree with you that there is people are using TikTok, but I just think that we need to be careful because TikTok will use you too. So you have to be able to resist the temptation to, succumb to the corporate model.
Lisa doesn't play around with that corporate model. You're not going to use her.
No.
Hey.
But it can be a time suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all our voices are. So yes, you schooling us as well. Absolutely. And you're reminding us we cannot succumb to certain things in the honeymoon stage of anything. So I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So then wait, Lisa, do you want to tell us what your TikTok is just in case if you want people to follow you?
Nope.
All right, I'll tell people what mine is. You can always follow me at mikO Tolliver. That's everywhere. That's on Twitter. That's on TikTok. That's YouTube. That's Facebook. That's Instagram, which is really my favorite. But while I have you here, there you go.
Can we go with a running joke too? So for anyone out there, if you want to find Lisa, Jovelyn, or me, go to mikO Tolliver with 2 L's on social media.
Yes, I guess you guys can just reach out to me so I can play secretary for everybody at KPFA. That's what I love to do. But while I have Lisa and Jovelyn here, I want to get you guys to help me get folks to follow the station on social media. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put up our information for how you can follow KPFA around social media, and then I want to get you to read that for me. Can you read it for me?
Oh, Lisa, you do the reading because I don't have my
Facebook at KPFA 94.1 or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok, which is at KPFA Radio.
And we're following KPFA?
Yeah.
Well, I want you to say it.
Follow KPFA. Get yourself out there and follow KPFA.
Yeah.
Perfect. That was perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind everybody here who is listening, who is watching, whether it's live, whether you're watching us after the fact, if we spoke about anything here, again, remember to tune in to KPFA Radio at 94.1 FM, or you can also always log on to our website at kpfa.org. And I've been here with Lisa Dettmer and Jovelyn Richards, who are some of the hosts of Women's Magazine. Lisa is every second Monday. Jovelyn is every third Monday. I'm also here with Mr. A to Z, our interim general manager, Antonio Ortiz, who's always here to support. And again, I am your host, mikO Tolliver. I'm here. I'm your social media rep, getting everything going for KPFA. You can find me around at mikO Tolliver. And remember, you can also always follow KPFA on social media, Facebook at KPFA 94.1, or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at KPFA Radio. But with that, I believe it's time that we say goodbye. And remember, everybody can tune in next week. On the deck is always our weekly recap Tuesdays at 2 p.m. But I think we're going to see everybody next week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
There we
Everybody,
go.
let's wave goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.